welcome to our special show. Now, how often have you heard it in sports that no one is bigger than the game? Now, this age-old adage is true most of the time. However, once in a while, there comes along a sports person or a sports team that end up overshadowing the sport itself. Michael Schumacher did that with Formula One. Michael Jordan did it with basketball. Muhammad Ali did that to boxing. But if you were to talk football, then you'd have to say Manchester United has done that to football, at least in India. And I'm very careful when I say that because I know there are plenty of Barcelona, Real Madrid fans in India, Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans. But if you were to put all these fans together and put the United fans on the other side, they'd still outnumber them. So what makes United so popular in India? That's one of the things that we'd be discussing. And we're delighted to have with us Mr. Dennis Irwin, arguably the greatest Irish footballer ever. And also, as Sir Alex put it, pound to pound, his best signing ever for United. Lovely to have him in our studio. Also joining me, I'll start from my left, someone who I call the Novipedia. He knows everything there is to know about football. Novi Kapadia, well-known football commentator. Stevie Grieve joins us here. He is, of course, coaching at the grassroots level in India, but you all know him. You see him every evening or at least once a week talking about football on Indian television. And Navroz Dhoni joins us, a well-known sports manager, and he's the man who's behind bringing the Manchester United soccer schools right here to India. I'll start with you, Dennis. Do you have... I know you've been to India, 3 or 4 times before this. Have you got a sense of what Manchester United is in India?
I think there's more and more, as each time I come here, there's more and more Manchester United fans, more evident. The first time I was here, probably 4 or 5 years ago, it's grown huge since then. I was down in Goa 2 years ago with the Premier League and never really realised how big football is here in India, but particularly Manchester United, the amount of red shirts knocking around. So it's a great experience. I think we've got over 30 million fans here in India, so I'm delighted to be back here again.
Okay, Novi, could you solve that puzzle for me? Why is United the most popular club in India? Did it have anything to do with the advent of satellite television and glory days of United at that time?
Long before that. 3 historical reasons. One, not remembering the Munich air disaster. That's when my generation, we first read about Manchester United in the newspapers. Then came 1968, that glamorous final, for me arguably the greatest Manchester United team ever. Apologies to Dennis Irwin. George Best, Dennis Law, Bobby Charlton, and that great victory against Benfica. I mean, I remember I walked back 10 miles home just to listen to it on the radio. There was no television in India then. That brought Manchester United. You know, there were no other club in India. In the 60s, most of us didn't know more than 10 international football players. We knew Pele, Garincha, and a few others. And then we knew Manchester United. And then, of course, the final in which Dennis Irwin played, 99, that dramatic escape. Teddy Sheringham and Solskjaer. So that just won over the neutrals. And satellite TV came, Manchester United with that dramatic win. People knew about it. Names in those days easy to pronounce. We all came up with an English background. So they were also names which we could easily, sort of get our tongues around. Right. And so it's just built up and there. And then, of course, Alex Ferguson, the successes in the Premiership. The Premiership brought in a lot of money. A lot of middle-class Indians are attracted to that. So it all gelled. And yeah, by far, they are number 1 in India. The rest are far apart.
Okay, just to give our viewers who are watching on television a sense of how big United is, we've got our resident Man United expert in Jaideep right here. Jaideep's got a pop quiz for all the fans who've come here. They're all football fans. Jaideep, go ahead.
Dennis played, 12 seasons at United. Yeah. But I want one of you to tell me which club did Dennis join United from?
He came here from Oldham Athletic.
And do you know how much he cost United?
Around 600,000.
625,000.
Okay, that's good.
A lot of money.
Well done.
Very good.
Like I said, Dennis played 12 seasons. How many Premier League titles did he win? Not trophies, Premier League titles.
7.
Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
19 in total and 7 Premier League titles.
7.
Okay. One last question. Dennis grew up or played with some of the most famous English footballers, 6 of them who came from something called the Class of 92. Can you name all 6? Anyone? Okay.
Gary Neville, Phil Neville, David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, and Ryan Giggs.
Okay. So it just gives you a sense of what Manchester United is in India. Now, Rose, we'll talk about the Nissin Cup Noodle Manchester schools, soccer schools here. You're the man behind it, bringing it here. What was the idea and how do you see that helping Indian soccer?
These things, can't develop champions overnight. These things can't happen by accident. So this year, for example, it's going to 4 cities. Next year, 6 cities. And the year after, 8 cities. So it's going to get bigger and bigger with every passing year. Once these kids are identified in each city, so there'll be close to about 150 children who will be watched very closely by local coaches and talent hunters in each city. From that, 8 such people, 8 kids from each city will be chosen to be trained by Manu coaches who will come to Bangalore, and those 32, 8 per city, will get 2 days of very intensive coaching by these famous Manu coaches. After that, they'll play a game, and 4 of them, who are really supposedly the creme de la creme from that entire bunch, will go to Manchester United, will go to Old Trafford, and actually live their dream in many ways. When they come back, are they ready to join an ISL team? Are they ready to join Mohan Bagan or whatever it is something I really cannot predict right now. Yes.
But it's a start, as you mentioned. I'm Stevie, to you. Since you worked with Indian kids here, how far behind do you think India is as far as grassroots coaching is concerned?
I think there's obviously major differences in terms of infrastructure. Like if you go to Tokyo, a kid can get a bus or a metro and there's a football field there. Whether it's a 5-a-side urban field or a futsal field, there's something there. In India, the infrastructure doesn't really allow a player to get easy access from where they live to go and play football with their mates. Like Dennis and I, we grew up in a society where you go and spend 6 hours playing with your mates, your mum shouts you in to get your dinner, you go back out and you play again. They can't do that here because a kid might have to walk 2 hours. So basic infrastructure makes it difficult. I think India's improving in that sense in the infrastructure, and it will get better over time. But when you look at what is the difference between an Indian 12-year-old and say a Spanish 12-year-old or a Japanese 12-year-old or a Thai 12-year-old, I think because of the school curriculum and the school programme, because PE is of such a low level, because they have unqualified people who don't know how to teach things properly, kids are don't have as good control of their body as what they do in more established footballing nations, and it comes from the multi-sport background of a good PE system.
Let's talk about the ISL. Many say that it's all about glamour, but is there a career path now? I mean, like he says, you can't expect or you can't dream about playing for Manchester United at the moment, but at least there is some career path that a young kid who comes to you, wants to learn, has?
Yeah, I think from speaking to some of the parents in our academy, previously they wanted them to be engineers and doctors and architects, the jobs that are commonly spoke about in India. And I think the modern Indian parent is looking at different jobs like broadcasting, different things like going and working abroad. So when you speak to them about a career in football, the first thing they'll say is, well, how much money will a footballer earn? And I think as much as the ISL has a lot of criticisms, players are now earning more money than what they did in the I-League. And I think that will open up more people from maybe the middle classes who have got excellent footballers who previously might have been lost to the game. So I think in terms of it being now a viable career option.
Time for us to take a short break on this special show, but don't go anywhere, because on the other side we'll talk to Dennis about the current state that Manchester United find themselves in.
Messi and Ronaldo are the 2 top players at the moment. I think there's no denying that. But in my era, Maradona was a fantastic player, a tough player to mark as well. Really quick, great free kick taker, top player. Argentina keep producing them, don't they?
Dennis, it's an honor to be in the same room as you. My question to you is this: if you had an opportunity to go back in time and play alongside one other player, irrespective of the century or their age, who would it be and why? Thank you.
Well, I mean, Messi and Ronaldo are the 2 top players at the moment. I think there's no denying that. But in my era, it was another Argentinian, Maradona. He was a fantastic player, really was. Honestly, I mean, they compare Messi to him. Left footers, I know Maradona was a bit stockier than that. And they always say Messi will never reach them heights until he wins a World Cup. But Maradona was a fantastic player, a tough player to mark as well. Really quick. Great free kick taker, top player. Argentina keep producing them, don't they?
Dennis, since the class of '92, United have somehow struggled to sort of develop young players. I mean, the last sort of Manchester boy to leave was Danny Welbeck, which was quite a sad thing. You've got sort of Cameron Borthwick now, but why have English clubs struggled to produce local talent, and in turn, that has also sort of affected the national team? So what has gone wrong with the English system?
Well, the world is a small place now, so what you're getting is youngsters coming in from, predominantly in my era was the young lads from Ireland, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland coming across. You might get the odd couple from Denmark or Norway, but now they're coming from all over the world, and it's just, it's tougher. Kids are getting harder to get. English kids are finding it hard to get through, and you say I think the English national side has struggled on the back of that. Even thinking of that, I know Ireland have struggled, I know Scotland have struggled, Northern Ireland, Wales have got a couple of great players at the moment, but they've struggled as well. But it's just the competition that's there, and it's finding hard to break through. And there's more out there for kids as well. There's so many Xboxes and different things for them to do. That maybe they don't spend as much time playing football as what we did. As Stevie was saying, 6 hours in for dinner and out again for another 2 or 3 hours, and that I'm not quite sure they're doing that at this day and age. But you still live in hope that you can produce players, and we still do.
Yes.
But producing for Manchester United is a different level altogether at the moment, and we do happen to produce players for other clubs, which I suppose is great. The academy look upon it as great, as that they're still doing something right. But we still want more and more players. You'll never get them 6 through in 2 or 3 years. That I don't think 6 local lads are through in 6 years. I don't think that'll ever happen again. I got to say that.
Okay, we'll take a couple more. Go ahead.
Dennis, how was it to play against big players, nippy players like Luis Figo and Raul? Being a pivotal left back of Manchester United, what was your mentality during the matchup?
Well, you just have to have confidence in your own ability that you could match them. When you play against them, the majority of players, you know what they're good at. It's only the very top level of players, the Messis, as you say, the Figos, the Stoichkos who I played against, the Hadjis, that can produce the unexpected. They're the ones that give you the toughest nights, drag you into areas that you don't really want to go. So you just have to try to be as clever as possible. You hope your teammates help you out. I mean, if you were a full-back now, how would you deal with Messi? I mean, everybody says stick him on his right foot, but he's too quick. He'll just go around the outside of you. So you need help from your teammates, and you just hope that on the night you have a particularly good night, and they might have an off night. But it's a challenge, and that's what a professional footballer wants.
Dennis, you've played under several managers over your career. So how would you say Sir Alex Ferguson was different? How did he motivate you? And what was the meaning of the Fergie time you had at every match?
Well, he was without doubt the best manager I ever played under, for various reasons. I could mention, he had a good team around him, good set of coaches. The captains he picked, I played under Robbo and Keeney. We always had special players. I mean, Eric was a special player, Giggsy, Scholes, he always had that. The environment he created was a learning environment, a happy environment. It was tough at times, but it was really, everybody used to look forward to going into training. But his management skills for me stands out as the most. There were some players that needed an arm around their shoulder. There were some players needed sometimes reminding that you can reach a certain level. That's where the hairdryer come in. If you don't reach a level that he knows you can reach, he'll remind you. Fair, tough, no grey areas with him. You do your work, you work as hard as possible, you do your best, and that's all he required. And for me, his management skills were great. I got to say that.
Manchester United's been recently criticised for its Premier League drought. So, and rumours have been flying around that Van Gaal should be evicted and Mourinho should be brought in. So, what are your personal views for United so that they can improve and get on at the top of the table?
Well, we had an unbelievable success under a certain manager, and I think when we knew that he was going to retire, it was going to be a tough time, and we found that out. It's 3 seasons now. We're 3 seasons in. First season under David Moyes. I think he just got the short end of the stick. Really, he's been the one after Sir Alex, so that was always going to be a tough one. And it's not easy at the moment. I feel like the league's there to grab this year. Leicester have been unbelievable. City have been up and down like ourselves. Arsenal, you keep thinking they're going to produce, but they fall short. And Spurs have been the foreign team as well. But for us to win it, we'll have to go on an unbelievable result, and we haven't been as consistent as we liked. Although we have picked up lately, but it's tough. I think we knew it was going to be tough. And when you're used to so much success, it's even tougher. We're big news, so anything that goes slightly wrong, we're in the news. As simple as that. Yeah. So it's part and parcel of being Manchester United. I suppose that's one of the joys of being an ex-player for Manchester United. You know, you have the highs and lows. You have a high like today, you know, this Cup Noodles, Manchester United, soccer school launch, and then, you know, the last minute against Chelsea at the weekend is a low. That's life. That's what happens. You take the rough with the smooth sometimes, but I know the club is trying as hard as possible to get us back up where we want to be. You have to earn the right to be there, of course.
I'm afraid that's all the time that we have on this special show, but remember, it's a great opportunity for all you young footballers who dreamt of being at Old Trafford. Make use of this opportunity, because Cup Noodles Manchester United soccer schools are here. You might just be training at Old Trafford.